Okay. Madam, stop share करा.
Hi Uday.
Yes.
Dr. Uday Bodhankar, how are you?
Fine,
Sir,
sir.
welcome,
Fine,
sir.
sir. Thank
Dr.
you.
Uday Bodhankar, sir. Good afternoon,
Good
everyone.
afternoon. Good.
Okay, I think we can start with the meeting. Yes, madam.
And
Do you say?
welcome, Dr.
Prajakta, start.
Okay.
Tika ka alit.
Welcome, sir Chorgade, sir. So
Welcome, sir.
Chorgade sir has successfully tried to
Join.
join our meeting. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So I welcome you all in today's webinar on anger management by renowned speaker Dr. Swati Bhave, madam. And I request Dr. Kotwal, sir, to introduce the topic and the
Speaker.
reason why we are going for this topic and the speaker. Kotwal, sir, over to you.
Thank you very much, Prajakta. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr.
Sir,
Nishikant Kotwal.
I think you should speak a little bit louder.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yes,
Can
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I am Dr. Nishikant Kotwal, West Zone Coordinator and Adolescent 2020 Organizing Chairman. Actually, this webinar was going to be a part of our scientific program in Adolescent 2020, but unfortunately, because of all this COVID problem, it got postponed. So we thought it is better to do this activity to be in touch with everybody from Adolescent Health Academy. I would now hand over the mic to Shubhada, our IAP president and a scientific chairman, to introduce the subject and the faculty, please. Shubhada.
Thank you so much, sir. And welcome to all of you. A very good afternoon to all the speaker, madams, Swati Bhave, madam, our senior pediatricians from Nagpur, our president of Adolescent Health Academy, Dr. Chawla, sir, the senior members of AHA and IAP. I welcome you all on behalf of Academy of Pediatrics and Adolescent Health Academy plus Adolescent Scientific Committee to this unique webinar. I call this unique for two reasons. One is because it is on a topic which is relevant to all of us. Just before we started this seminar, I was struggling to start my Chromebook and it didn't come on. So that time I was so seething with anger that is it the right time? Is it the universal emotion? Anger starts from irritation, annoyance, anger, rage, and we see so many different shades and grades of it. And many times, once we are out of this, we realize that we were unnecessarily angry. और फिर ऐसा होता है कि आप पछताए होत क्या जब चिड़िया चुग गई खेत. So to know more about this emotion, how it is generated, whether we would be able to control it at all, and how to do it on a personal level, let us learn from, again, a very unique personality. We all love her, we get inspired by her, a very cool-headed person, rarely angry, and who has very effortlessly managed to rise to the top on base of managing all the negative emotions. Dr. Swati Bhave, madam, our past president of IAP and Adolescent Health Academy, and a very prolific speaker, writer, who has written so many papers on anger management. Her book on anger management, I am a fan of that book, very useful and practical book. I welcome you, madam, to this unique webinar. So we have a webinar on anger, and that too by an authority who is very well versed about how to manage this anger. So welcome you all to this occasion today. And now to kindly start her presentation.
Thank you, Shubhada. Thank you, Swati. I don't know how many of you know, my entire childhood has been spent in Nagpur.
Yeah.
So, having a family, my mentor, Dr. Chorgade, my very, very good friend, Dr. Bodhankar, and my senior colleague, Nishikant and Prajakta. This is like giving a lecture in a family. So I'm really honored that I have a family. So I'll start my share screen.
Yeah.
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay.
Just make it full screen.
Yeah, I've done the full screen. Can you see
Okay,
it
okay.
now?
Yeah.
Done.
So, want anger management, but are rarely able to do it. So, Webster's dictionary says anger is an excessive emotion or passion which is aroused by a sense of injury or wrong. So, sometimes when you feel injustice has been done, you feel angry. And it varies in intensity from a very mild annoyance or irritation to extreme anger, rage, and frustration. And as you can see, anger is very easy to make out. The body language of a person, the aggressive body posture, the tone, and the increased volume of the voice all lets you know that yes, a person is angry. Now, anger is a very natural emotion. So, most of us may not be able to control the feeling of the anger because it just comes suddenly from your amygdala. But what we can certainly control is how you behave when you're angry. So, what is anger management? Learning to express your anger in a constructive way, first, without harming yourself, second, without harming other people, and third, without destruction of property. As you see in Hindu movies, whenever a hero or heroine is angry, they things, they suddenly throw everything on the table. So that is the expression of this
That it's an
expression of
natural,
anger.
we naturally become angry at our boss, our
And then they come to the office and the subordinates gave the brunt. Wife or husband may fight at home and then they go and fight with people in the workplace. Boss shouts at you or teacher shouts at you in school and you come and laugh. You get angry with the right person to the right degree. For example, to kill an insect, we don't use a bazooka. So when there's a small mistake of your children or your spouse, you don't have to magnify it or terribilize it. So be angry to the degree the mistake is committed at the right time. For example, when you see your husband come home or your child come home from school and they are looking very tired and you are very upset because something is happening, that is not the right time to start shouting at them. As doctors, we know if our residents have done some mistake, shouting in front of the patients is not the right time. So you have to choose the right time when you shout or get angry with somebody and for the right purpose. Is anger to show the other person that things are not right and he should understand? Or is your anger your frustration? You are upset, you are angry, and you just want to explode and in the right way. So we'll discuss how we can also do in the right way.
I see. So it has to be in the right way, but then there must be some consequences because of anger also. Are there any consequences because of anger?
Yes, consequences of anger are terrible. It can affect your mental and physical health. when you're angry and you hit, for example, we have seen parents when they hit their child in anger, there can be quite sad injuries. A wife has beating the wife is domestic violence, and the injuries can be quite bad. There can be destruction of property, as I discussed. If you show your anger in the road rage, or you break the law in your anger, you will come in contact problems with law and the police. You can lose your job. Many people in a fit of anger have resigned because their boss said something to them. You can lose your social privileges. In a building, if you keep on fighting with your neighbors, you may be ostracized, and you can get a bad reputation as an angry person all the time. And whenever you are angry, you get stress all around. The person with whom you get angry and the person who witnesses the anger. You know, in a house, suppose one of the family members shouts and screams, the entire atmosphere is different. Whether it's home or office, the anger leaves is like a volcano. When a volcano
Yes,
leaves
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt. Rajakti, all the participants.
mute their audios.
Rajakta,
yeah.
Everybody mute their audios.
Rajakta, mute everybody.
Yeah. So
right.
stress harms the body in a variety of way, and we all know that it can cause physical symptoms, psychosomatic illness. It can mimic even a heart disease, a stomach ulcer. So stress can cause physical symptoms. It can cause psychological symptoms. It can cause behavioral symptoms, and it can completely destroy your mental, holistic well-being. And today, in the situation of Corona, when all are completely locked down, tempers are getting shorter and people are getting angry with each other. I get a lot of teleconsultation from parents that our children, especially teenagers, are getting out of hand and they're showing a lot of anger and violent behavior. So, violent behavior and anger has to be controlled, especially in the Corona situation, because we know stress reduces immunity. And the only weapon we have against Corona today is your immunity. So, why is it important to control anger? Anger is a natural emotion. But if we don't control the behavior or the feelings, that means if I don't control my anger, I become aggressive. And the moment I become aggressive, I act out my anger. And when I act out my anger, it is called violence. So ultimately, unless you control anger, it is going to result in some sort of violence, verbal, emotional, physical. And that is why it's very important to control anger.
So it's often said that anger is like grasping hot coal. When it has intent to harm others, it also burns your own fingers. So it has many, as you have already elaborated, many consequences. But anger is also a natural emotion. So when does it become harmful then?
Actually, as you write, you have a very good analogy of holding a hot coal in the hand. It harms you as well as others. So when you get angry, you have to get angry about the behavior and not the person. As adults and experts, don't we often tell the parents that don't label a child, label the behavior. Similarly, when you are angry, get angry about the act or the behavior, but most of us attack the person. So that is very harmful. Second, when anger is allowed to linger, you go into a chronic state of aggression. That is called hostility. And then you want to take revenge and harm people. So these are the various ways when anger can be harmful. Anger and frustration are interrelated. Sometimes when you're disappointed and frustrated, you get angry. And the anger, if it's turned inward, then you can see teenagers doing harm to themselves, like suicide. Or if it goes outside, then you're going to hurt others. Now, research has shown both anger inside and anger outside is equally bad. It affects your sympathetic system, affects your heart, your speech, your memory. Chronic anger leads to what is known as hostility and aggression, and this is known as AHA syndrome. And this AHA syndrome is known to precipitate cardiovascular diseases and many other diseases in the body.
So you are talking about AHA, which has nothing to do with the Adolescent Health Academy. So nobody should link it as a political thing here. You have told how we become angry. That we have seen also, because we were listening some sounds from somebody and we were all getting annoyed why that fellow is not muting his speaker. And then somebody was putting something on the screen also. Can you explain how anger develops? and what are the mechanisms involved in its generation, propagation, and when does it get out of control? Means can we stop it before it becomes out of control? So if we know the mechanism, then people can act on it, right? Swati?
Yeah. There are a lot of events or emotions that trigger anger, and justifiable anger is when somebody does injustice, like you get a promotion when the other person did not deserve it, or especially teenagers and children get angry that the teacher was very unfair. She gave more marks to the other person because that person is his favorite. Or you are a very quiet boy and somebody instigated you and you got the blame. So when injustice is done to you, when unfairness is done to you, that is a justifiable anger. But what is not justifiable is when you don't control your emotions. For example, you don't get what you want, then you get disappointment. That means you can't tolerate rejection or failure. Somebody else gets what you want. You love a girl and somebody else gets that girl, so you get jealousy. And most important is public insult. What we have to always remember, that if ever you want to get angry, whether it is with your family, whether it's with your subordinates, whether it's with your servants, whether it's with your residents, do not get angry in public. Because when you insult somebody in public, his ego and self-esteem is extremely hurt. He feels humiliated and ridiculed. So what happens is what you're trying to tell him doesn't penetrate his brain. What he remembers is only your anger. So it is a good idea to take that person separately. Like I always used to tell a resident, he come and meet me in the office later if I found he was doing something wrong with the patient. Even in husband and wife, we say, never fight in front of the kids. See that you go into a separate room, lower your voice and fight with each other. So it's very important not to publicly humiliate anybody unless you want to teach a lesson. That means you're a principal, somebody's done something wrong and they are bullied and you want to make an example. So publicly you shout, but otherwise publicly you do not shout at anybody. And some people are not and they get angry on small things. And we as doctors, let us not remember that all causes of anger are not psychological. And all people don't have to be sent to a counselor. Whenever somebody complains, the family or the children or the mother, father, that there is anger, take a detailed history. Especially if the anger is recent, look for simple causes. We know simple anemia can make a person irritable and he can get angry. Hormonal causes like premenstrual tension or dysphoria, hyperthyroid, or sometimes even hypothyroid, if they're depressed, they can get angry. We should not forget frontal or temporal lobe tumor, which can cause a complete personality change. And majority of psychiatric causes like depression, borderline personality disorder, OCD, manic, bipolar, all these can show anger. So never forget as a doctor to also rule out medical causes of anger. And if you're a non-doctor, you remember to take your person who's very angry to a doctor so that they rule out medical causes of anger. So now when Nishikant, you asked me how is anger generated. Now we all know that we have a thinking brain, that is prefrontal cortex, and emotional brain, which is the hypothalamic limbic brain. This is also called the reptilian or the primitive brain. And the basic emotions of this reptilian brain are fear and anger, because fear and anger protects us from danger. So what happens is that anger thought comes in the brain, but it immediately goes to the amygdala and your anger is triggered. So we have to understand as you grow older that who's got the power. If I get angry, can I use my prefrontal cortex, my judgment to control my anger? Or I will allow my amygdala to take a power, and that is known as amygdala hijack. And we know that amygdala, I don't know what's happened to the screen. Something has happened to the screen.
Reload it, man.
Okay, I'll just keep reading.
Yeah.
So what happens is when, but my thing is not even going ahead.
Reload kariye. Reload kariye.
Reload it? Okay. Just 1 minute. I'll stop share and reload it. 1 second. Anyway, I can keep talking till then. So what happens is that if you have an amygdala that is going to have constant problems, and this is also very often called that amygdala hijack. And we all have to learn to control amygdala hijack. So amygdala is our primary source of fight, fight, or freeze. And amygdala is the main center through which our anger is generated. And as I said, this is primitive or reptilian brain. So you can see animals also get angry. And you have a very common, I love that cartoon, Angry Birds. I don't know how many of you play it, but it's a lovely game to play. So the Angry Birds also have been utilized in cartoon games for people to play. So amygdala hijack also depends on your stored pattern, because the region, the hypothalamus also stored memories. So if somebody has made you angry in the past, or some event has made you angry in the past, if the event occurs again, your memory triggers anger again. And so many people repeatedly get angry on the same problem.
Right. So, ma'am, you have very nicely explained how anger is generated, propagated, and when can it get out of control, and what are the internal brain mechanisms, and also reminded us that we should never forget the medical causes of anger. But as doctors, we are always interested in knowing what are the ways to manage something, like what could be the therapy, or what could be the treatment to halt the anger in its heels, so that it doesn't get out of control and doesn't harm us or others.
Okay, the first treatment is not to be in denial. No one can make you angry without your permission. So never blame others that they provoked my anger. Since I do a lot of anger management therapy, when the husband, wife, or parents come to me and the children say, Baba फार रागवतात, the father says, मी एकदम शांत स्वभावाचा माणूस आहे. ही बायको मला सारखी त्रास देते म्हणून मी रागवतो. माझी पोरं सारखी कटकट करतात म्हणून मी रागवतो. So most people who are hot-tempered never accept that they are hot-tempered. They always say कि somebody provokes me. So if you want to control anger, the first therapy is to make that person understand, yes, you have a temper problem. You have an anger problem. And please do not blame others for your anger. So what we explain to people, that anger exists in your mind and it is a direct result of your thoughts. Events don't make you angry, but the interpretation of the event makes you angry. So let us give a simple example. I have a friend who had trust to give me the right answer, the right opinion. I have a rival who I always feel wants to put me down. I come with a blue dress and my rival says, you know, Swati, this doesn't suit you. My immediate reaction is, he kon mala sangnar, how dare she talk like this? She always is jealous of me. She wants to put me down. So my prejudice that she's my rival makes that sentence makes me react. But if my friend tells me, ki Swati tu blue ghatla hai, but I think green suits you more, sir, I'll say thank you for telling me. Ata pudcha vela, when it's a big occasion, I will not wear blue. So the sentence is the same, the situation is the same, but the person who said it is different. And my mind reacts to my prejudice that this is my rival and this is my friend. So if you really translate this into everything, nobody's sentence, nobody's event, nothing makes you angry. It is how you interpret the event, that you felt insulted, you felt upset, that is why you are angry. So we have to learn that anger is my own creation. I can decide whether I have to be angry or I don't have to be angry. And there are 2-3 therapies when we do anger therapy, and this is known as cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and REBT. So what is CBT? CBT means that your thoughts, that is your cognition, controls your behavior, your feelings, and that results in your behavior. So let us look at this way. What does CBT tell you? That if I got a thought of anger, that's not controllable. I just got a thought. I'm angry with Nishikant. But if I stop that thought and analyze, why am I feeling angry? Why? What has Nishikant done to me that I should be angry? Is it right that I'm blaming Nishikant that I should be angry? No, I don't think so. Nishikant is a very nice person. What he said, he did not mean. So I need not be angry. So if I can stop this anger at the thought level, that is the cognition level, it doesn't go into feelings. Now, suppose I allow that anger. No, Nishikant insulted me. So now I'm feeling upset. So what will happen? My stress, that is my adrenaline and my cortisol will come into action. The moment my adrenaline surge comes, my heart rate will increase. I will get a rapid pulse rate. I will start getting angry. And the anger feeling is generated because I've allowed that thought to now become anger. Just as I can allow my sadness to become depression. Now, once the thought has been converted into a feeling, I'm going to behave accordingly. Because now my adrenaline surge is very high. So I'll feel like punching Nishikant, or I'll feel like saying bad Nishikant because I want to hurt him. But if I can stop my thought, it doesn't come into feelings. It doesn't come into behavior. So what is CBT? That the moment a bad thought of anger comes into your mind, hold it there. Analyze it. Am I angry? Why am I angry? Should I be angry? Should I just keep quiet? Or should I just humorously respond? What should I do? So by CBT, we train the patients that you do not allow your angry thoughts to go into feelings and behavior. Similar, you have what is known as REBT, or Rational Behavioral Therapy. Now in Rational Behavioral Therapy, what they teach, that we believe a action leads to consequences. And that is because we feel our beliefs. That means my belief is that this person is against me. So his action will lead to anger because I believe this person is against me. But if my belief is that this person is not against me, the action will not lead to consequence. So every time we have to find out, is my belief correct or is my belief irrational? And 90% of our beliefs are irrational. So REBT teaches us how to control not only your anger, but a lot of mental diseases like OCD and the others. So you have to change your belief system, which is based on past experience. You must list your triggers. What makes me angry? Okay, if this is a trigger, like we do asthma diary or we do allergic diary, that you know what is going to trigger my anger. So if you have a trigger, then you can control yourself and say, no, that this trigger I will not allow to make me angry. You also change your expectations. Majority of our anger is because we expect too much out of others and we do not understand others. We don't have empathy about others. So if you can modify your thought process, you can certainly control your anger. And CBT, REBT are well-known therapy to control anger.
Excellent, Swati. Excellent, Swati. You have all said that mostly we try to divide people into two groups. Either they are friends and enemies. So whatever they have said, we try to take a meaning out of it, whether it has coming down from a friend or whether that person is an enemy. So he's trying to tease me, right?
Yeah.
So there must be some right ways or a wrong ways to express your anger. Can we train ourselves that way?
Yeah. So there are two ways of how people express anger. One is withdrawal. That means you don't admit, you just calm down. You just show outwardly, it's like a sea. The sea looks so calm, but inside there's so much turbulence. And the others are those who vent their anger, shouting, screaming, physical violence. And the people who vent out are taken as angry people. And the people who don't vent out, people don't even realize they're angry. But again, research has shown whether you vent it out or whether you put it inside, the hypertension, cardiovascular, stroke, ulcer, psychosomatic is equally in both the groups. So what does it mean? That you should not get angry, which will harm you or harm others. So you think out the reasons for anger, as I just discussed in CBT and REBT, and deal with it calmly. There are many people who, when they come to me for anger therapy, he said, I'm a very straightforward person. मला जे तोंडात येतं मी बोलतो, माझ्या मनात मी काही ठेवत नाही, मी कोणाच्या मागे बोलत नाही. सो आय एक्सप्लोर, मे बी इट्स लाईक अ प्रेशर कुकर, पण मी लगेच शांत होतो आणि मी जाऊन त्या माणसाला सांगतो, आय एम व्हेरी सॉरी, सो इट्स ऑल राईट, मी चिडलो तरी शांत होतो. सो सच पीपल हॅव टू बी टोल्ड. आय टेल दिस अ व्हेरी नाईस स्टोरी, that there was once a young man who had very hot temper and used to always keep shouting and screaming with everybody. So his father said, he said, no, I profusely apologize, people forgive me, so why should I control my anger? So his father said, okay, let's do one activity. He gave him a box of nails and a hammer and said, for the next whole month, every time you get angry, you put a nail into the door of our fence. And he also told him that when you get very angry, hammer the nail, because your anger is like hammering the nail with the person. And when you're slightly angry, just tap the nail. The son said, okay, I will do this. And he kept doing it. Then the son realized that, I think I tell screen mein zale. Anyway, I'll say that. So after 1 month, the box got over. And the son realized, yes, I'm a very hot-tempered person. He went to his father and said, please help me to get rid of my anger. So the father said, okay, we'll do the same thing. He taught him how to control his anger. And he said, every time now you are not angry, when you should have got angry, remove a nail. It took 6 months plus for the boy to remove the nails. But then he also realized that when the nail is hammered very deep, It's far more difficult to remove as compared to a nail which was just put there. So now the father told him, yes, very good. He told the father, see, Baba, there are no nails on the thing. I have conquered my anger. But then the father said, Beta, look at the fence. These are the scars which are left behind because you hammered a nail. So similarly, whenever you shout at people, it leaves a scar in their mind and their heart. And even if you say sorry, you have moved on, but the person may not move on. And you cannot dictate. If once I have said sorry, that person has to accept my sorry. Because if the hurt was very deep, he will not be able to forgive you for life. And relationships have been broken because you got very angry and said very hurtful things. If that person loves you, he will forgive you and move on. But if that person doesn't care much for you, he cannot move on. So शब्द एक बाण आहे, तो आपल्या तोंडातून एकदा सुटला तो कुठे जिव्हारी लागेल का कोणाला मारेल का कुठे जाईल आपल्याला माहित नाही. So every time you speak an angry word, think before you utter it.
Absolutely, ma'am.
When they are angry, they get lot of adrenaline surge. आणि त्यांना इतका राग येतो की काय फोडू आणि काय तोडू. Now such people, even if you tell them calm down, do yoga, do meditation, they cannot use this method. So what we have to teach them, what I always tell them, कि your anger has given you physical aggression. So instead of destroying property, do some constructive physical activity. Have a punching bag, go out, work out in the gym, go for a jog, or best is do racket games. त्या बॉलवर राग काढला ना फटाफट फटाफट टेनिस कोर्टवर की सगळा राग निघून जातो. ज्या बायका म्हणतात की नाही आम्हाला बाहेर जाता येत नाही, मी म्हणते वॉशिंग मशीन वापरू नका, कपडे घ्या आणि धोपटा, नवऱ्याचा राग कोऱ्याचा राग त्या कपड्यांवर घाला, म्हणजे तुमचा सगळा राग डिसिपेट होईल. बाय द टाइम यू कम आउट ऑफ द बाथरूम यू आर व्हेरी व्हेरी काम. और लुक इन द मिरर अँड थिंक दॅट दिस इज अ पर्सन. आणि त्याला वाटेल तेव्हा शिव्या द्या, दार बंद करा सो दॅट ही डझंट हिअर इट. आणि वन्स यू हॅव वेंटेड आउट दॅट anger, then you don't feel like actually saying all that to that person. And you can, of course, add to the list. These are the common therapies I give my patients. There are some people who feel internally disturbed. They don't feel aggressive. They don't feel like hitting out. But asha lokana, you need to calm their mind. And they have to divert their mind to let this go. And these are the people who are helped by listening to soothing music, yoga, meditation, reading humorous books, telling jokes, anything which can make them laugh. So you can also add to this list. So there are two types of people, one who need to let out their physical anger and one who need to calm their mind. So depending on the type of anger, when I teach my patients, I make them do a diary and I tell them, राग आला तुम्हाला exactly काय करावंसं वाटतं. And depending on that, I give them the treatment for the anger management.
Fantastic, ma'am. So you have so nicely explained how every angry emotion has a thought behind it, how we can work on it, how we can use certain techniques for anger management. Very nicely elaborated. But we always have our adolescents and young children in front of us when we want to teach them how to manage anger. And as you know, they always require some quick fixes, easily doable techniques. So could you elaborate them, some of them, madam?
Okay, so when you say anger management, it is not that don't get angry, because
Right.
those anger feelings have to be translated into some happy feelings or into socially acceptable directions. And very people ask me की रागाची थेरपी कधी सुरू करायची. I say right from infancy. आणि बाळाचे पाय पाळण्यात दिसतात. We all know as pediatricians, some children are so hot tempered, some people are so calm, and some children have so much temper tantrums. Now temper tantrums is the time when you know that this person is going to have anger management issues when he grows up. So we all as pediatricians know that how we tell the parents. Once you give into a temper tantrum, that becomes a weapon for that child to manipulate you. So he will go into a temper tantrum every time you don't give him something. म्हणजे पाहुणे आले की when your child starts screaming, they know की पाहुण्यांसमोर आई बाबा आपलं ऐकतील. Or you go to a mall and the child starts demanding something and he goes into a temper tantrum, आई वडील ऐकतील. So the first step when a child exhibits temper is right from infancy. And that is the time you have to calm the child down. You have to make the child understand that he has to control his emotions. But आपल्याकडे most Indians take anger as a routine thing. And especially when I was in Delhi, we have North Indians. Some of them used to come and tell me, ये तो हमारा खानदानी रोग है. इसका दादा भी गुस्सा था, परदादा भी गुस्सा है, सब बाप भी गुस्सा है. As if it's a genetic trait and of course, which is environmentally created. So anger is something which we need to control, just as we control all our other emotions. So there are certain tips which I give them, like take the 3 A's. Aware. First of all, you have to understand the emotion that this is anger. Then acknowledge, don't be denial. Yes, I am angry. Then you accept that this anger management is my responsibility. So these are the 3 A's to diffuse your feeling. You can also detach from yourself as if you are a person who's away and you're watching yourself getting angry, and analyze the cause of your anger. Identify the cause of the anger. Decide, is this justifiable? Is it unjustifiable? You can also give biofeedback, meditation and relaxation technique. And I did Brahma Kumari meditation and I really liked it. What do they say? Keep telling yourself, who am I? I'm a peaceful soul. Peace is integral part of my personality. Anger is not my nature. So if you just chant this Brahma Kumari mantra when you are angry, it suddenly brings you down, saying you may understand what is there to get angry. There's nothing to get angry. Second, you can always express your feelings on a piece of paper, which acts as a catharsis. Then you can burn it or throw it away. Remember the movie Jab We Met, how Kareena Kapoor tells Shahid Kapoor, he write down all your feelings and burn that photo or go flush it out. So you should always, you can do this, write down, but very important, don't write a diary and preserve it. You know why? Because reading it again and again, you are triggering your own negative emotions, whether it is sadness or anger. And God forbid, somebody else reads your diary, you are angry with your husband, your wife, or your child, and now you're forgotten, you're moving on. But you have written very bad in that diary, and your husband, wife, or children read it. It will be a permanent spoiling of relationship. So negative emotions should be written down and thrown. It's very important to do what is known as letter writing. Often when I do family therapy, I am told by the husband, wife, or the child, "Ki mala nahi sangta hai, I can't tell this. You're telling me to express, but I can't." So do a letter writing. I've told many mothers who have problems with their teenage daughters, start the letter saying, "I love you a lot. I like this about you, but the following things you do makes me angry." And just list it out and give it to the daughter. Now, when the daughter reads it, she's not seeing her mother's angry face. The mother is not shouting at her. So calmly she reads the paper and finds out what angers my mother. And that quite helps. So learn to write letter writing also in a positive way. Technique is having constructive discussions. Normally what happens is, whenever people start arguing, it doesn't remain a discussion. It becomes a fight. And the moment there's a fight, then it becomes anger expression. So learn to always keep all discussions at a level of argument or discussion, and don't allow it to escalate into a fight. And second, after teaching a lot, I tell everybody, personalize their own anger management system, because each one has different ways of diffusing anger. Music may calm me down, humorous book may calm me down, breathing exercise may calm me down. So you choose which is the best option. Keep 3-4 options ready. As a doctor, we know we always have to keep 3-4 medication options ready. If one doesn't work, we have to try the other. So keep your personalized plan. Decide that these 4 things make me calm. With trial and error, you can understand which is the best in what situation. Like, when should I keep this when my teenage child is talking to me? When should I use this when my wife or husband is talking to me? When should I use this when a patient is talking to me? And learn to understand your body signals. Each one of us has a body signal. Suddenly my heart may start beating, I may feel breathless, my hands may start trembling, or I may start sweating. So you must know your own body language signals. And the moment you get those signals, start relaxing. And this is a very nice word which I read. Cage your rage. It is your choice. Don't allow it to get out of your cage. And learn to diffuse your anger with humor. Remember Munna Bhai MBBS? How that principal used to always be when he was angry. So he used to diffuse his anger. And of course, the person is close to you. The best way to diffuse anger is Jadoo ki chappi. Just hold that person. All the anger will get diffused. Don't try it with strangers and other people. You'll get it. And that's why I love this Vivekananda. That mind is not a dustbin to keep anger, hatred, and jealousy. It's a treasure box to keep love, happiness, and sweet memories. So let the negative emotions go. Don't carry the emotional baggage.
Absolutely.
It was absolutely wonderful, Swati, that you have not only told the mechanism of anger and how to control anger also. And it is anger has to be identified and not denied.
Absolutely.
The way you have explained everything so wonderfully, I'm not surprised that you have written few books on anger management. Can you tell something about it? And the most interesting part was that you have dedicated these books to your husband and father-in-law. How interesting. Can you please elaborate
So I wrote
about your books and your work?
So I wrote two books. One is Anger Management by Sage Publication. The English print is out of stock, but we have a Hindi and a Tamil edition. And the other is the AHS syndrome and cardiovascular disease. So
you don't write, you have to change its title, AHS syndrome.
So I'll tell you why I dedicated to my husband and father-in-law.
Yeah.
I was a firebrand in school. I was sports captain, so I had a lot of aggression. In college also, I was lady representative of MARD. So you know how much aggression is enjoyed in that. So when we got married and when we were engaged, whenever I used to get very angry. And then when I started shouting and screaming, my husband Yashwan used to just sit quietly without responding. And once my energy was vented out, he would say, Rak Shanta Zala, Ata tu kashar ragalis, let's have a discussion. So then I realized that gele 10 minutes, he has shut off his ears. I wasted my anger and energy for no reason. And now he wants to make me repeat everything in a calm voice. So I realized there's no point fighting with this man because it's a one-way traffic. He's not going to listen to me. So after that, I started realizing to tell him, Yashwant, I'm angry, I want to discuss. Then he used to say, how acutely angry are you? You want to discuss right now or can it wait till evening? If I'm acutely angry, say right now. I want to discuss, or I'll discuss in the evening. So I thought, my husband changed such a hot-tempered person like me. So I must write a book to help others and dedicate this book to him. And why I dedicated it to my father-in-law, the whole Bhave family are Stitat Pradna and Shanta. Many of them are IPS officers, IS officers, bureaucrats. So in their house, nobody gets angry. They all say, let's discuss. So this, I got environment and this, and I learned to decide, you can say I'm angry, but you don't have to shout and scream and show people that you're angry. You can say, I'm angry and let's discuss. So in Bhave household, there's a mantra that we have to say, me ragavliye mala bolaitse, and then we have to discuss out. So that's why I dedicated these books to my father-in-law and my husband.
Fantastic, ma'am. And since this is all writing and books, I am reminded of my favorite poet, Ralph Waldo Emerson, when he said that for every minute you remain angry, you give up 60 seconds of your peace of mind. So we definitely have to work on this every minute of anger. And you must be having the experience of teaching this management of anger to children, to students, to adolescents, to young adults, and people like us. So, and I also have learned that you have written some research papers, published it at various conferences. So, madam, we would like to know a little bit about that, your programs in schools, colleges, and conferences.
Okay, I'll share this because I think each one of you can do this. What I've done is nothing extraordinary. What we did was I took some CDC scales from Atlanta, which analyzed the aggressive behavior, beliefs, and attitude. Because if you can find out the beliefs of a person and attitude of a person, then you can change the behavior. So we did a lot of research. I have studied more than 4,000 children over various parts of the country. And I presented these papers in the IPA Congress in Melbourne. And we also presented this in local conferences. And this paper, Dr. Jain and I presented, we got a prize in one of the Adults Con. So these scales are available with me. We have done a lot of research. If any of you want to do it, I'll be happy to help you all. And based on our work in Turkey, I was invited with Anjali to give a symposium on anger management. And you can see that we had more than 250 participants, and we taught all the Westerners how to do pranayam and bhamri and all to reduce your anger. And I do these workshops for Rotary clubs, for corporates, many parents program. And based on my work, I was invited by Juvenile Justice Department in Delhi when there was an outbreak of violence from the juvenile justice homes in 2014. So I did a 3-month project in one observation home in Delhi. We analyzed all these children and I tried to help them to control their anger and violation. So anger management has been my passion for the last 20 years. And in 2012, we held a national consultative meeting on prevention of violence and bullying in schools. And the basic part of what's anger management. And you can see Dr. Shekhar Sheshadri here. He
Yes.
very actively guided me and worked. And we have very beautiful lectures, CDs. Again, if anybody wants to work with me on this project, they're welcome. And we have brought out 4 modules for anger management, prevention of violence and bullying in schools, for teachers, for parents, for children from class 4 to class 12, and also children from 1st to 4th. And then many people ask me when I go to a principal, तुम्ही पहिलीतल्या मुलांना कसं शिकवणार anger management? So we teach it all in pictures. For example, I'm just showing you 2 slides. We show them how nice people look when they smile, how nice people look when they're happy, and how people look when they're angry. And then the children make faces and show each other that when we look angry, you don't look nice. And then I also teach them when somebody shouts at you, how do you express your anger? So each one of them tells us how they express their anger. Then we teach them the positive methods of expressing anger with play therapy. We say, कोणावर राग आला की drawing card, तुला किती राग आला, तू आईवर रागवलास तर आईचं drawing card. So the children have a catharsis like a play therapy. So and this is very enjoyable, and I've been doing these school and college programs again for the last more than a decade.
Yeah. Very nice, ma'am.
Swati, you have told about lot of things about neurobiology of anger. Then you have talked about some Western REBT techniques also. But then now this is the era of Indians also. So can you tell something about pranayama, whether you have some idea, and can you put a light on whether pranayama can reduce anger?
Yeah. So actually there are a lot of techniques to control our emotions, not just anger, sadness, depression and all that. And yoga, meditation and pranayama, which is our age-old Indian culture, are the best ways to reduce anger. But whenever I try to teach only meditation, yoga and pranayama, many people feel that we are not spiritual or religious, so we can't relate to this. So teach us something else. Or some people believe that this is against our religion, so we can't do it. So those who accept yoga, meditation and pranayama, I always teach that first, because there's nothing to beat yoga, pranayama and this. I just went a 6-week course of mindfulness, and mindfulness meditation, or being mindful, that is being in this moment, not thinking and worrying about future and not carrying the emotional baggage of the past, is also an excellent way of controlling your anger. But there are also now Westerners, you know, apna halat te patent karun, they are selling it in a different way.
Yes.
Our pranayama has now been talked about as breathing exercises. And then the Westerners have various techniques of breathing exercises, which are also very useful. Chanting and prayers. You have seen the Tibetan chant. You have seen when you put a Gayatri mantra, when you put Om, this behind a Nusta Om you chant, all that also helps. And there's a technique called progressive muscular relaxation. So there are various techniques which can help you to calm your mind, to become positive and also control your anger. And all this is not thotan, because what happens is now everything is evidence-based. So everybody questions what is the scientific proof. So all this, when we teach students, whenever I go for anger management classes, I have a session on yoga where we teach pranayama and brahmari and all the other things, and the children really enjoy it. But before I do that, these are the children of the modern era. I give them scientific explanation that what all you are doing is scientifically proved. So I show them these EEG changes, which they have done on Tibetan monks, which they have done on people who do prayers. I also show them CT scans, SPECT scans, which shows the difference in the brain activity when after prayers and after meditation. So I show them that this is scientifically proved. And hence, if you do this, your brain will definitely calm down, which motivates them to do this. Then if you really think of why you get angry, it is your cortisol and your adrenaline surge. So whenever you're upset or emotionally gone, your sympathetic nervous system has got stimulated. And that is why adrenaline surge jo yeto, aplyala raag yeto, je sagla hoto, we have to counter it by stimulating your parasympathetic system. And in Japanese, they call it yin yang yen. So by trying to stimulate your parasympathetic system, all this meditation, mindfulness, pranayama, breathing exercises, and progressive muscular relaxation. You can look at the net and Google for PMR or progressive muscular relaxation. In many techniques I teach people on the way, this also reduces your anger. So there are many ways where you can teach yourself You can take help of videos, and you should always feel that I am in control of my anger. I may feel angry, but I can diffuse my anger. I will not hurt anybody, hurt myself, or destroy property. So I have done this in many schools, and then we do a follow-up 6 months later, and then the children write to us, and it is so satisfying when the children write to us. I've been using this regularly, and now I feel very confident about my anger. The school which we did in Bombay, all the 750 children, we finished in 3 days. And the principal wrote back to me, she had a CCTV camera and she used to watch everybody. So there, if somebody bullied, the child would say, I'm not going to be a victim. Swati aunty has told me how not to get bullied. The other person used to say, don't shout at me. You control your anger. Swati aunty has told you how to control anger. And it was so satisfying when she sent me those photos and this, that it was really worth it. And that is what all pediatricians we can do. We can go to schools and we can teach children right from nursery how to control their anger and how to control violence and how to control bullying. And this school, the bullying incidents came down drastically. That is what I had presented in my Melbourne paper.
Fantastic. Wonderful. So we are at the end of the presentation. आणि आपण जे मराठीत म्हणतो की स्वभावाला औषध नसतं, तर असं नाही आहे. रागाला औषध आहे. आणि you have explained it so nicely how we can halt the anger in its heels, how we can control it to a level which is reasonable, and how we can manage it so that it is not harmful for others as well as for ourselves. So ma'am, for an excellent presentation. There are some questions which I could see in the chat box.
Yes.
We will first take those questions and then we'll go to our case scenarios.
Yes.
Right, ma'am?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dr. Bodhankar has asked, what is the effect of screen on increasing anger in children?
Yeah, you can look at the screen effect in 3-4 ways. One is, as we all know, that the blue light of the screen suppresses melatonin hormone. So people who are working on the screen late at night get what is known as sleep deprivation syndrome. And one of the many symptoms of sleep deprivation is excessively irritability and anger. So that is one of the causes. Second, when people are watching video games, majority of the rewards which they get is on anger. When you shoot into somebody's heart, you put an arrow. So killing, so hitting, killing, violence, that is what video games make you go level 1, 2, 3, 4. So obviously people who are continuously into violent games become violent. So in short, these are the 2 reasons why screen can lead to anger. And for example, constant watching the screen makes you irritable. I'm sure many of you feel, hey, webinars ne आपलं किती डोकं दुखतंय आणि सारखे webinar ने सुद्धा कधी quite irritated.
Right. Absolutely. Dr. Mustafa, are you able to see any more chat questions?
Yeah, there are many. Actually, there is one very wonderful question. What can we do for mass rage in hostels and outbursts in hostels?
Okay.
That is a collective anger expression, right?
Absolutely. So this again means that, these people have not got anger management when they were in school, or they have been used to it की राग दाखवायचा आणि mob एकत्र आला की मग what you do, बस जाळा, टायर जाळा, मारा फोडा. So this mob rage is again bad management of their emotions in childhood. And that is why आपल्याला life skills are so important. We teach life skills to all the children and we teach them about emotional intelligence and controlling their emotions. This mob aggression is also frustration. Have you seen ki if you are on the road आणि एकाला कोणी मारत असलं, people don't even see त्या कशाला मारतायत, सगळेजण हात धुवून घेतात, because it's their frustration, their anger. So when they see somebody destroying something, everybody takes out their frustration and vents out their anger. So it is all again part of poor anger management.
Yeah, ma'am, there is similar question. Some people think that violent games can be catharsis for anger. What is your take on that?
I would say violent games are not catharsis to anger. In fact, they provoke and stimulate more aggression.
Absolutely.
But as I said, doing physical things, when you're punching a bag, going and playing football, going and playing sports, that's a very nice positive way of taking out your aggression. Breaking things and playing violent video games are just promoting your aggressive tendencies.
Absolutely. Yeah, ma'am.
Swati, you are president of IAB, and you had to deal with so many people, and you must be getting angry. But since you have done all the anger management technique, I think you could easily handle it. The same. So I would like to ask a question to Uday Bodhankar. How did he manage his anger that time? When he had to deal with so many people where sometimes you don't like to meet also.
Dr. Bodhankar, you must be have experienced so many situations. So how did you manage your anger? Sorry.
Very, actually, very difficult question being asked. Yeah. I learned many lessons from Dr. Swati. Even myself and Swati used to fight a lot, but she used to win because she is the master. So, you know what? Meditation, as Swati madam has said, meditation yoga has calmed down. Even I was also an angry young man as a student, as a pediatrician, as a national patient of IPA when Swati was there with me. But slowly we calm down. Yeah, I think that over the years we have learned that getting angry doesn't give us anything. So I think
Absolutely.
the experience and yoga meditation has helped me. And lesson from Dr. Swati and Dr. Chorgade, who is here, counselor. With him, I learned a lot.
Yeah, sir. Thank you. Madam, a similar question by Miss Seema Polaya. She asked, I many times decide not get angry, but as I see my son and husband, they are not bothered for good things which I tell them to apply. And then it becomes difficult for me not to get angry.
See, I think when your husband and son get angry, there is something in your communication style which is triggering their anger. So I think you change your communication style and the way you say it, because sometimes very often as women, when we
Right.
talk to your husband or your children, it comes out accusatory, as if you're blaming them. You don't mean to, but the moment that comes out accusatory, your husband and your children, they lash out at you because they get defensive. So we have to learn our communication in such a way that you are making it appear very pleasant. For example, as we said, na, if you say to your son की आपल्याकडे कोणी येणार आहे and त्याची खोली is very dusty or very bad, and you tell them ताबडतोब जाऊन ते खोली सुधार, आता लोक आली की मला लाज वाटते ती अशी खोली बघायची, तुला काही परवा नाही, आई सकाळपासून एवढं काम करते तू असं करतोय, तर रिस्पॉन्स विल बी आई खोलीचं दार बंद कर आणि त्यांना सांग माझ्या मुलाच्या खोलीत जायचं नाही. But the same thing if you say की बेटा यू नो आय नो यू हॅव बीन व्हेरी बिझी, तुझी परीक्षा होती, फुटबॉल मॅच होती, तर तुझी खोली जरा ही झाली, प्लीज जरा सावरतोस का, कारण मग ते लोक आले ना की त्यांना सगळं घर बघावं लागतं, मग मला जरा वाईट वाटतं रे अशी खोली असली तर. The same thing if it's told in this language, the child will go and do it. So I think that, and secondly, if you still feel angry, काय अगदी शॉर्ट टिप्स असतात. पटकन एक ग्लास पाणी प्यायचं, बाथरूमला जाऊन तोंडावर पाणी मारायचं, नुसतं जस्ट कॉन्सन्ट्रेट ऑन ब्रीदिंग. ब्रीदिंग इज व्हेरी गुड. नुसतं ब्रीथ.
So it
असं जरी तुम्ही 10-20 वेळा केलं तरी तुमचा राग शांत होतो. त्यामुळे पटकन छोट्या छोट्या टिप्स आहेत. आणि सेकंडली एक लक्षात घ्या, तुमचा नवरा, तुमची मुलं तुमचीच आहेत, त्यांच्यावर रागून तुम्ही कुठे जाणार आहात? Why do you fight with your family? Why do you get angry with your family? Just learn to love them, and the anger will disappear.
But that's not true when you are working somewhere and your boss shouts at you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And madam,
The boss shouts at you, remember, reality, ha boss hai, he can harm me, so I better shut my mouth and be passive.
So you have to be cognizant of the situation also. And that is the same technique they teach in 6-second technique, that you just have to distract yourself.
6-second pause.
Right.
Think, analyze, and in 6 seconds you can really diffuse your anger.
Yeah.
And lots and lots of techniques for anger management. Nothing is like gold standard. You have to just try out each technique and suits whatever suits you. It's like dieting, na? There's nothing like a fad or a healthy diet.
Right.
Whatever diet suits you, it reduces your weight, that is your diet for you.
Correct.
There's a lot of cafeteria available.
Right, ma'am. There is one principal who is asking about anger in school situation.
Yeah.
And he says even teachers don't dare to suggest and advise to teenagers that they should be controlling their anger. Sometimes they are caught in a very tight situation. They are not allowed to express their anger. But
Actually,
वो बताया कि how
recent,
abundance has come to you.
yeah.
Right.
हम किस तरह abundant हुए हैं.
Please, ma'am, whosoever, please mute your mic.
Mute your, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So what happens is, this principle, I would like to tell you that this is because you don't have that anger management program in your school. If you have life skill education in your school, coping with emotions is part of that. And there also we teach this anger management. So the teachers are naturally going to be scared of teenagers because they're very strong and aggressive. So I suggest that you contact us and contact any of us, any of the AHA. We all are experts in teaching life skills. And if we can do programs in your school, in general, the children will calm down and behave better. Secondly, remember, teachers like parents at home are role models. Half the time I go to school, the teachers are screaming and shouting at the children. So if you're going to scream and shout at the children, that is a role model you give your children. So if you're a calm, assertive, controlled teacher, then it is more likely that you'll be able to control your children. So basically, contact any of us. We will help you with life skills and anger management in your school.
And
In
positive
this-
discipline also.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
important.
In the school, we have seen, we always talk about, say, anxiety, aggression, and depression. But many times in life skills, we don't teach them about anger management as such. We should, I think, add it to that, right? We tell them about coping skill, but that is basically about anxiety, aggression, depression, and other things, right?
Right. So, ma'am, someone is asking about role of diet in anger.
This is
That
like
is
Ayurveda, na?
Yeah, it is an
Pharmacy and
Ayurveda.
a diet. So, yeah, some diet can make you aggressive in the sense कि आता for example, मी खूप तिखट खाल्लं तर मी तिखट बोली. I don't know, but it is true that some diets can make a person more angry, and because there is certain diets which show dopamine and serotonin. For example, diets which produce serotonin, banana and milk combination is known to give serotonin in your body. So if you have daily banana milk sleeping, it is known to give sleep. So yes, there are a lot of diet which can calm down people. And if you have a healthy diet which produces good neurotransmitters like serotonin, it can certainly help you to keep calm.
Right. So, Dr. Mustafa, are you ready with the
Yes. First,
Yeah.
I would like to thank Dr. Swati, madam, for a wonderful presentation. And madam, these are some cases.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
This
go
is
ahead.
17-year-old male patient, a 12th standard student who is not talking terms with his father.
Okay.
He is close to his mother, and his father always tells that तुम्हारी लाड प्यार की वजह से ये बिगड़ गया है.
Okay.
And now during this lockdown period, he is constantly becoming aggressive, quarrels with everyone, and spoils the peace at home. Mother wants to bring him for counseling, but he is not ready to come. Instead, he wants his mother to take his father for counseling. So how to tackle this type of patients, this type of teenagers?
So let me just analyze this situation. This is a typical dysfunctional family, as we call it. There is marital discord, and they are not on the same page, because obviously the mother is coddling him too much and spoiling him, and the father is more harsh. So this is like a discordant parenting. So first of all, we need to counsel both of them to be on the same page so that their parenting becomes on the same page. Second, if the child is having so much anger, there must be a role model of the father's anger also. So in the corona situation, all this becomes worse because the family was already dysfunctional and now they're locked down. So it's very difficult to give them a cure at this time. But what the child says is not wrong. That if he says, bring the father also to counseling, that means the father is also showing extreme temper tantrums. In fact, whenever I take any history of any adolescent who is showing anger and aggression, one of the parents is always having anger and aggression. And part of it is genetic and part of it is nature and nurture, the environment. So this wife should tell the child that no, तुला जी भांडणं चालली आहेत त्याच्यामुळे आपल्याला पीस डिस्टर्ब झालाय तर आपल्या पूर्ण फॅमिलीला काउन्सिलिंग पाहिजे. So let us all take counseling. So if all of them go to a counselor, I do family therapy. So then I teach them what to do, and I chat what to do. And I then tell them to monitor each other. Happy. जे होमवर्क दिलं होतं किती वेळा गावला मग ती डायरी अनाउन्स आणि मग आईवडील मॉनिटर तुला करणार. So they're going to a competition that who will reduce their anger and come and tell Dr. Bhave ki मी ना फक्त 2 वेळा रागवलो माझा बाप 4 वेळा रागवला. So then that becomes thing. So he's not wrong in saying that the father also should come for counseling, because if the father is continuously getting angry, why should he accept counseling? And how many adolescents accept counseling? Very, very rare. So if he's not coming, it is normal. So the mother can just take therapy with a counselor to handle a husband and son who are not coming, and then gradually make the husband and the son come for joint family counseling. And Dr. Sorgade does wonderful joint family counseling. I've learned a lot from him how to
True. Very true.
He has been at
So this case was submitted by our AHA President, Dr. Swati Bhave. Dr. Mustafa, let's go to the second
The
case.
second case is submitted by Dr. Pajata Kaduskar, madam. This is a 16-year-old boy, single child. He used to hang out a lot with peers and used to get angry at his mother if she said no. Once he pushed her badly, so parents approached for counseling. Considering his age, expected behavior during the session, above issues were discussed with parents and asked to modulate their interference and let father talk to him. The boy was counseled, and along with importance of friends, importance of recognizing emotion and modulating his reaction was discussed. Then he started leaving the scene in anger and roam around on the streets on bicycle for hours, which in turn created more trouble. So how to proceed in this case?
Okay, now one thing, remember that when a person is showing too much anger, just as I said, we should not use medical causes of anger. So this child frankly has to be psychologically tested. Has he got a conduct disorder? Has he got an oppositional defiant disorder? Has he got some undetected ADHD? Because just counseling will not help if he has got psychiatric causes of aggression. Second, you should sit with this child. You have to say that anger hoto hai and you are going on the motorbike. So this is a way of letting out his physical aggression. And then you have to explain to him that if you go out in anger, the chances of accident are far higher. And you're not only likely to harm yourself, but if you hit somebody else, you will go to jail. So the consequences of going out in anger on a motorbike has to be well explained to him. And you have to also say that I will not be able to protect you if a FIR is lodged because you have harmed somebody. Second, he pushed his mother, which is like violence against the mother. I had a case where the boy was hitting his parents and they just didn't know what to do. Till I told the boy, that domestic violence case is applicable to you also. So if you hit your parents and your parents go and lodge a FIR against you, you will go to juvenile detention. And luckily that stopped that boy and he stopped hitting his parents. So there are various ways in which you can convince the parents and convince the boy that his aggression is dangerous and it can create problems with him. So he requires a lot of counseling for anger management. And as I said, he requires a psychiatric evaluation to find out whether he has some medical or psychiatric cause of his aggression.
Absolutely. So very
Thank
nice.
you, madam.
Thank you so much. I don't see any more chat questions. If there are any people, you can type them. We still have 5 minutes more. Ma'am, you want to relate some of your experiences? Or
Yes, Dr. Swati.
Somebody wants temper tantrums in English. Okay, I will
Yes.
speak in English.
Yeah.
How to handle temper tantrum. Okay. So now whenever you handle temper tantrums, it depends on the age of the child. Normally temper tantrum would start around 1.5 to 2 years toddler and then go on up to this. So when a child goes into temper tantrum, first you have to be extremely calm. Second, you should not hit or get angry with the child. Third, you should not leave him alone and go because there's a danger that he will harm the child. So what you have to do with such a child, you have to calmly sit in front of the child and then let the child tell me, why are you angry? Tell me, why are you upset? So let him verbalize his emotions. So instead of going into a temper tantrum, he is made to calm down and express why he's angry or upset. Then you talk to the child and say that this is the solution, let them try out. You can also tell the child, I'm going to sit in front of you, I'm not going to go away, but I'm not going to talk to you till you calm down. Or I'm not going to give you this till you calm down. And this may take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, depending on the child. But the child has to understand that if I go into a temper tantrum, my mother does not react to what I'm doing. She does not give in to what I'm doing. She's calmly sitting in front of me and she wants me to talk. So this is what is the thing. There's also something known as timeout. And timeout is a controversial thing. Some people say timeout works, some people say timeout doesn't work. And it is called 1 minute per age. So how much timeout should you give? Suppose the child is 3 years old, you put him in a chair, make him face the wall and say for 3 minutes, none of us will talk to you. You will face the wall and calm down. And that also helps. As I said, there is no right or wrong technique. You have to try it out. But most important, if the child goes into temper tantrum, You don't start screaming and shouting and go into a tantrum yourself, because that doesn't help. And beating, of course, does not help. I hope this answers your question.
Swati, but the things get complicated when it's a joint family and the mother is not allowed to try her methods. Rather, everybody, the grandparents and other fellows, they come into picture. So it's very difficult.
When there's a joint family and the grandparents interfere, it's very difficult. So when I do family therapy, just as I explained to parents, as parents, they should not show marital discord, they should be on the same page, and the child cannot manipulate each other. I call grandparents also. And very often, I tell the grandparents and the parents that 4 of you need to be on the same page. Otherwise, this child will manipulate. And if you really love your grandchild, you will have the same positive discipline. And 4 of you can fight, you can argue. But 4 of you must decide, these are the grind rules. So if your child goes in temper tantrum, Aji can't behave different way, Ajoba can't behave different way. All 4 of you have to behave. And I do a lot of grandparenting councils. Unfortunately, they come. So I do this as a family therapy. But if the grandparents refuse to come, I do teleconsultation with them. And then this really helps. But of course, if the grandparents and the parents are having fights, like the daughter-in-law and father-in-law are fighting, the son and the grandfather are fighting, then you can't do anything. Because they are going to interfere and this child is going to get spoiled.
Right. So we, not only parents, but grandparents can become emotional coaches for the children. And they can be role models for everyone in the family. I hope with, any more questions, sir?
I think Swati Bhave has asked the last question. Getting angry when the adolescent is asked to reduce the use of gadgets is very, very common complaint. Any tips for that?
See, I'll tell you one thing. Parents don't realize that gadget or mobile addiction is like a cocaine and heroin addiction. It's an addiction. It's not a behavioral problem. So if somebody is smoking and you pull the cigarette from him, or somebody is drinking and you pull the glass away from him, how is he going to react? Or somebody who's taking cocaine. So similarly, a gadget is an addiction. So what parents do, when they get angry, they just pull away the gadget from the child's hand. So obviously it's going to go into aggression. So you cannot push and pull away gadgets from teenagers' hands, because that is going to lead to aggression. So what we have to do is known as positive discipline. So you have to negotiate with the child that suppose I allow you to use the mobile for 2 hours and you use it for 4 hours. What are the consequences? And those consequences have to be agreed upon, and the child has to be trained to put the mobile away. Snatching gadgets is not going to work. It is only going to give more aggression. And there are people, when the mobile has been snatched away, they have punched the mother or the father. Or there's a story, if you remember, one boy who was playing PUBG. When his brother tried to shout at him, he put a knife into that boy and the brother died. You must have heard a story 3 years ago of a Mumbai constable. His son was constantly reprimanded. So when the constable had gone to the office, he killed his mother. And with her blood, he wrote, I have done the murder because I'm tired of my mother. Catch me if you can. And then he ran away and he was caught. So snatching away mobiles is like provoking an addicted person. So you have to have better methods of dealing with the situation.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
So I think we are at the end of the session, ma'am. I now request Dr. Mustafa Ali. Madam, thank you so much. We have been
Shubhada,
session since so long, and we planned it in our adolescence.
Shubhada, I think we can do one new thing in this webinar. Normally, we give a standing ovation to people. Instead of that, we unmute everybody and clap.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Wonderful.
It was really great. Nice one. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Swati. Excellent session. Excellent.
Thanks.
Amazing.
Having invited me, as I said, being with Nagpur is very close to my heart. This session with so many other activities from all over.
Excellent session. Oh.
ಜಾವ ಹೋಗಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿ ಅದು ಇವ್ರ ತಂದೆ ಏನಾಗಿದ್ರು ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್
हाँ नहीं तुला नहीं बोलते
Are we gone off or are we on?
and are we all there I think
प्राजक्ता नहीं है का
आहे ना मॅडम बोला
संपवायचं ना
Swati
Whatever you say, is there anything to be discussed yet?
स्वाति मैम योर
नहीं
फ्रेंड
डॉक्टर स्वाति भावे नहीं डॉक्टर स्वाति there is a message from Murmai that she liked your talk very much
Who's message?
My
Oh,
wife
yeah, yeah.
Murmai, that is Jyoti.
By the way, she's my batchmate, and we were in college together. Right.
I really admire your deep knowledge, vast experience, and